You know, Lauren and I have been together 10 years now. So many people have been telling us it's time. They've been waiting, they've been asking, and we thought too, no better time than now. It's been a long pandemic, and we've spent a lot of time together in quarantine. Maybe a little too much time together, if you know what I mean. It really is amazing what you can create in just 9 months, and we're so excited to share it with the world.
Hi, welcome to the divided state of America. I'm Heather Gardner, and wow, I am thrilled to be here with you. But I do have to start off this show with an apology, which is admittedly strange. Sorry if I fooled you with that little announcement there. But truth is, as a married woman in my 30s, there's a lot of pressure on me to scale back my career and pop out a kid. It comes at me when I least expect it too, from my family to my inbox. You want to know how many Zoom baby announcements I've gotten this pandemic? It's almost like fucking was all people had to do in 2020. And I know it's waiting for me, should my husband and I decide to get going, a showering of love and presence and, oh, yeah, that's it. Because though I'm constantly reminded over and over it's time for this woman to become a mother, America is doing a piss poor job of valuing that decision past a cake and a baby butt fan. Add it to your registry. And that lack of support has been made abundantly clear during this pandemic. Now, things were not all onesies and warm breast milk pre-COVID. Having kids in America is incredibly expensive, starting with the whopping hospital bill you receive for just the delivery. Then women are expected to stitch up and get right back to work because the United States is the only advanced country in the world that doesn't mandate paid family leave. Enter the cost of childcare, which is one of the biggest monthly expenses for most families. Oh, and we can't forget the motherhood penalty either. Yeah, on average, working moms make about $18,000 less per year than working fathers. And it's worse for mothers of color. In short, many American parents were hanging on by a thread before a virus turned our lives upside down last year. Then things got much harder.
The coronavirus forcing millions more Americans into virtual lockdown. Over 75 million people in New York, California, Illinois, and Connecticut ordered to stay at home.
6.6 million Americans filed for unemployment benefits last week. That is double last week's record report.
Yeah, the coronavirus moved on us like a bitch, and a generation's worth of hard-fought gains were shattered, like the glass ceiling should have been. In less than a year, working women have been set back decades. 1 million more jobs have been lost for women than men, and again, it's impacting women of color the hardest. And it's not just the jobs lost either. It's that many women were forced to leave the workforce because schools and daycares were closed and somebody has to stay home with the kids. Millennial women are shouldering that responsibility at nearly 3 times the rate of millennial men. And maybe you're thinking, come on, Heather, I'm sure that due to these extraordinary circumstances, employers are going to be more understanding and flexible with working mothers. You're going to lift up that rock you've been living under? This is America.
Sarah Riley was given a leave from her cancer research job to watch her kids. She was called back this month, told she had to return to the office from 8 to 5. Her response?
I will work 40 hours a week or more, but I can't be committed to being in front of a computer from 8 to 5. And they said, we will accept this email as your voluntary resignation. And that was that. And I wasn't asking for a lot of flexibility. What I really think it is more that they were looking to shed a whole bunch of people, and here's a whole category of people that we can just get rid of.
That's some bullshit, because most women who voluntarily resign don't qualify for unemployment, severance pay, can't cash out unused PTO, and they may even lose their health insurance during a pandemic. Predictably, it is far worse for women of color who are paid less, are more likely to work in jobs hit hardest by COVID, and have far less money saved to deal with the financial hardship. Remember that wage gap we talked about? Well, in 2015, single white fathers had a median net worth of about $41,000. For For single white mothers, it was about $14,000. For Hispanic and Black mothers, their net wealth was $50 and $0, meaning many parents have literally been left with nothing for months. Depressed enough yet? Ready for a list of solutions? Let's start with the basics that would catch us up with the rest of the modern world here. National mandate for paid parental leave. Same goes with paid sick leave. Also, federal funding for childcare to help lower the cost for working parents and subsidies to the childcare industry. Shocker! All of this is good for everyone, not just mothers. These are things we've needed in America for decades, and truly, there has never been a better time to get moving on real structural change. But as we pointed out, parents, particularly mothers, need help right now, which is why there's been a push for the Biden administration to pass a $2,400 a month mom stipend.
So when schools closed and they expected us to homeschool our children, nobody asked us. Nobody even thought, what's going to happen to mothers? Are they going to be able to do their jobs? They just assumed that we would do it. And look, I am not America's social safety net. Mothers are not America's social safety net. We can't do everything anymore. So I'm simply asking the federal government to put a value on our labor. What is it worth to you?
That's a great fucking question. Hey, no more flapping diapers or blowing till your face turns red is great and all, but mothers are worth far more to our children and to our nation than a cheesy gift. So how about we start acting like it? And don't give me the it's too expensive bullshit. This isn't a matter of cost, it's a matter of our priorities, of our values. And we all know damned well if fighter jets started popping out babies, Congress would have paid jet leave fully funded by breakfast tomorrow. Also in the news this week, impeachment part 2 on this edition of WTF. Washington's totally fucked. On one side, we have the Democratic impeachment managers, serious constitutional attorneys armed with a mountain of evidence and videos. And on the other side, a clown show of apologists armed with excuses and whataboutisms.
With impeachment part 2.
Everyone makes mistakes. Everyone's entitled to a mulligan once in a while.
There's nothing they showed today that in any way ties us to Donald Trump. It's just a silly argument.
When it is they who are enticing illegals to bust through our borders, exploit our resources, and commit crimes.
Which is, it reminds me of Shakespeare. It's full of sound and fury, signifying nothing.
It's not incitement to riot. It's not incitement to insurrection, whatever that is. It's a nothing burger.
It's meant to deflect away from potentially what the speaker knew and when she knew it. I don't know.
There's all kinds of blame going around, but yet not a whole lot of accountability.
Okay. Republicans are really having to bend reality to get through these impeachment proceedings. And speaking of alternative realities, have you checked in on your QAnon-loving uncle lately? Because that bunch has been through the ringer the last few weeks. You know, having their entire worldview go up in flames and everything.
President Trump, if you see this, please save us. I hope you have a plan.
Okay. It's easy to laugh at that, and I am by no means justifying these people's beliefs. A secret cabal of Satan-worshipping, blood-drinking, pedophile Democrats running the country is still insane. But now that the dust has settled, Biden is president and Trump hasn't come back to save the day, well, let's just say there's been a bit of a reckoning among Q supporters.
Who else is feeling just a little silly? Like, went too far down the rabbit hole. I can't do it anymore. And who the fuck is Q? Who is it? What if this person knows that none of this stuff is true and they're just messing with people? Because none of it has come true.
Trump would come back when the government was rebuilt. I know it sounds crazy.
But you believed it.
I did.
And then Biden got sworn in.
Mm-hmm.
How did you feel?
I was devastated.
And what we have really is a kind of fracturing. You have some people who are saying, oh no, Trump's still in charge. He just is going to make work his magic during the Biden administration. You have other folks who are saying, you know what, we need to go on with our lives and focus on other stuff.
But what does that actually look like? Because a recent poll showed that 17% of Americans believe in the satanic child-leading cabal, and 39% still think the deep state exists and work to undermine Trump's presidency. I mean, these people have been wallowing in nonsense for years. And now that Q's conspiracies have seeped into Congress, well, to put it bluntly, there's a whole lot of people going off the rails on this crazy train.
It all got started with Pizzagate, something Q posted about. We could unite to stop the deep state, and Trump would finally root them out. But today it all feels like you was lying, 'cause it didn't go down. And I learned these things on 4chan, where all the posts agree. Jewish lasers start wildfires. All of this makes total sense to me. But today I'm really going through it, 'cause how could I believe in something else? We all think Trump is perfect, and we've never felt this way for someone. And I just can't imagine how the world will be okay now that he's gone. Guess Trump didn't mean what he said at that mega rally. 'Cause Biden's in office and now Trump can't even tweet. Red hats, Q signs, joined to stop Bill Gates and the Chinese 5G, eating children's faces for a dream. Oh, Chrome, maybe we were fucking there. Soros, Tom Hanks, put chips in our brains. It's silly conspiracy. We see through their ploys. Where are you, Q? Are we through? Did we all get fucking played? We all think Trump was perfect, and we've never felt this way for someone. And I just can't imagine how the world will be okay now that he's gone. Guess Trump didn't mean what he said at that MAGA rally. 'Cause Biden's in office and now Trump can't even tweet. You said Trump forever, Joe undid it all in a week.
Whew, okay, wow, that kind of felt a little dirty, not gonna lie. Moving on, let's talk about everyone's new favorite word.
Out of one side of their mouth, they talk about unity. It's not a recipe for unity.
Well, it appears that unity...
All this talk of unity.
Like, do Republicans even know any other words? I've got one for you. Bullshit. You know, I don't believe you, and I'm talking directly to you, white conservative America, because y'all put Trump in office the first time and you doubled down the second time. The only reason the word unity is escaping your lips now is that you failed at further dividing this country. Let's not pretend you wouldn't be wearing your fuck your feelings t-shirt had Trump won. And I can say this with the utmost confidence because you told me yourself. See, I grew up in the conservative South, so my personal Facebook feed looks nothing like my liberal Twitter feed. And I straight up asked you to consider what your support of the Trump administration was doing to our country and to the vulnerable communities and lives it was destroying. Over and over, you did not care. And I kept the receipts. Banning Muslims based on religion? You were cool with that. Trump's battle with Colin Kaepernick and the NFL's peaceful protest? Oh, that was a fun one. I begged you to hold Trump accountable after he blamed the people of Puerto Rico for his failed response after Hurricane Maria. Nope. You didn't give a shit about the others less fortunate than you when Trump's tax breaks lined the pockets of the wealthy while cutting the social safety net. When the administration traumatized migrant families at the border, you justified that inhumanity loudly. And the horrors just kept coming. But still, in the voting booth, record numbers of you decided the cruelty was fine by you. And finally, Trump incited a deadly riot at the Capitol. Let me just remind you what you said on that day. And you have the nerve to utter the word unity like you haven't been complicit in this country's divided state for years. You know, many of these same people have accused me of taking politics too seriously, too personally. Well, what a fucking privilege it must have been to live through the last 4 years, the last 245 years, and not have to take injustice too seriously. You watched a Confederate flag being proudly marched through the United States Capitol and you thought, that's fine, that's acceptable. And listen, maybe I'd believe you if you showed a shred of remorse or even a second thought of, should I really be on the same side as the guy flashing the white power signs? But you're not sorry. You're emboldened. Your idea of unity is polite society just accepting xenophobia and white nationalism as a legitimate exchange of ideas. You're actually demanding we take you seriously after Morgan Wallen tops the charts because of his racism. You never heard of that country singer before he said the N-word, did you? And now you're like, that's the guy for me. Now, we see you clearly. Why don't you heed your own advice and take some personal responsibility? Then we can talk about unity. Okay? That is going to do it for the first ever episode of The Divided State of America. Guys, thank you. I'm Heather Gardner. We are so happy you're here. Also, a big, huge thank you to MeidasTouch. We are going to be right back here every single Thursday with brand new episodes, so hit that subscribe button. We'll see you back here next week.